The following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, and between the mice and the scorpions, there is more than enough exploding animal parts.
Are there?
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. Evil is coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, a horror apocalypse entertainment podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm
And
Steve.
this week we are so excited to be back talking about Fallout again this week. This episode we're going to be discussing is episode 2 of season 2, The Golden Rule. The Golden Rule, motherfucker! Yeah, sorry. Refer back to the disclaimer, spoilers, adult language, hello, that's me. And yeah, so Golden Rule. Before we get started talking about details within the episode, we usually discuss just a real quick rapid fire, what did we think of this episode? And Steve, you went first last week for episode 1, so it is my turn to go first for Golden Rule. So
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. This was a good episode. I'm glad that we mentioned last week, they covered, everything we wanted to cover, except we didn't see any Maximus, which was interesting to me because I felt like we could have, out of all the scenes we got in this episode, I feel like they could have spliced like one of them into last week, and it would have been fine, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Maximus' storyline it would have been tough to just do one scene and go away, I think. I think they did it the right way.
Or they could have ended the episode with just like a little quick teaser of like, here's what he's been up to kind of thing. I don't know. I just feel like they covered a lot of territory with him. But that being said, it was good to get back to Maximus. It's interesting to see the changes in him from last season to this season, the changes in his group as well. Love the dynamic that's, of course, ever evolving between Lucy and the Ghoul. All the Hank stuff was really cool too. I'm glad that we got some more of Norm and the defrosted executives, and then the Buds who are now defrosted Buds.
They're all blooming.
Yeah. And clearly, the best part of the episode was really the opening part to me. I really thought that the all the attention to detail and great storyline weaving that we got with the flashback to Shady Sands, I thought was really, really great. I think that really makes the episode. It's the through line of everything. It helps set up who Maximus is, that those final things that his father said to him and all that, just really, it was really, really good. There wasn't a ton, not a boatload of action. Most of the action we got was, as I mentioned, exploding animals, but definitely, a little bit more plot movement forward, and just getting some of that really great background understanding of a little bit more of Maximus, the character. So what about you? What did you think of The Golden Rule?
Yeah, I agree. I liked it. I thought that it kind of just what we talked about at the end of last week, that the episode 1 was so Lucy Ghoul intensive,
Yes.
right? I mean, that was it was like 70-30, Lucy Ghoul 70, Norm 30, and that was it. That's all we got, and so you just knew that, well, there's still a whole major character that they have not gone back to. So I think we were spot on in that the vast majority of episode 2 gonna be Maximus, and I think they did. If anything, I was surprised that we got as much of the Lucy storyline as we did.
Yes.
I thought, I was just like, wow, they're spending a
I
lot
was
of time.
surprised we got
with
coverage
her.
of pretty much every we touched every storyline. The only thing we didn't do was do a
Yeah.
Cooper flashback, but we pretty much touched everything else, which I thought was very interesting considering exactly what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing we didn't go to at all was what was going on inside the vaults. Like, we never went back to Betty or any of those folks. But you're right, every other storyline, excluding the Cooper in the before time stuff, they extended upon. It was, again, it's sort of, we're in that part of the season where it's like, okay, they're kind of like pointing us in the direction of where the story's going to go, right? We haven't really gotten into it yet. I mean, the Ghoul and Lucy are still like on the road, literally, in pursuit of Hank, and Hank is doing his research, but he hasn't quite got it working yet, at least not as far as we can tell. And then you got Maximus, and he's kind of accepted his role in the Brotherhood and is working with the elder to kind of shape this Brotherhood into a new type of group. And even though Dane is clearly the Jiminy Cricket of the show now, giving him this is not a good thing look all the time,
yes.
Right? But despite that, he's trying his best to make it as good as he can make
right.
it, so it's all just starting out, because we had all the stuff with the other factions or chapters of the Brotherhood got together, and how is that going to work? Is that they're all saying, if you don't include the Commonwealth, there's going to be a civil war, and all this stuff, and so we're it's all just starting out here, and I think we're going to go with episode 3, episode 4. I think now the plot's really going to accelerate, and we're going to find out how are they all going to come back together? Because they're all going to come back together.
Yes, of course, yeah. Those threads all have to get sewed back together at some point. So.
Right. Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed a lot of it. I think there was a couple of nice little video game nods in there, and again, it was neat just to see Maximus and kind of what all has transpired since he, and I'm just going to use air quotes here, killed Moldaver at the end of season 1. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was really a fun and entertaining episode.
I agree.
So, yeah, good
I
stuff.
agree. Entertaining, not like groundbreaking, but entertaining, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before, again, another thing we take care of before we get into our individual points talk through the episode, let's go through the episode description, the super duper long episode description, as well as writer/directors for the episode. So Steve, why don't you take it from here? And do you need to take a rest before we talk about the episode description, or like take a deep breath, or...
Just so you know, I am laying down. So,
as one should.
Just really, and I've got my feet up, so I'm really trying to keep the blood pressure low and keep the blood up in my brain and all that stuff. So yeah, because this is going to be hard to do. It really is. All right. So this again is episode 2.2 of the series Fallout, and the title, as Diana said, is The Golden Rule. And I was very happy she didn't add the mother forker at the end of that, like I know she was thinking. And the description that we have is as follows. You can't put a price on family.
Wow.
And that is your episode description. So what do you think? Does that just not sum it up perfectly?
It's one of those things where it covers so much with so very, very little. And again, just like last week, this is the official episode description. This is Prime telling me this. Amazon is telling me this is the description for the episode, and I'm like, okay, if you say so.
Yeah. You almost wonder if maybe they last season got some negative reaction to their episode descriptions. Maybe people complained that they were too spoilery or too revealing or something, and so the reaction now is extreme, and it's like, okay, you guys think we're telling you too much, here you go.
We're gonna do the exact opposite.
Yeah, it could be something like that. And maybe it's something the showrunners just said, hey, you know what? Let's just distill this down into one sentence that we think is important, even though it really doesn't describe the episode. It's more of just the vibe or something. It could be something like that too, because this is, like you said, this is 2 weeks in a row that the official on Amazon's, when you go to stream the episode, this is what it says. So it's clearly coming straight from them. So
yeah, I know, and it's interesting because they released the last season as like one big packet of episodes, and this one they're trying out a new thing by going week to week. So it's possible maybe it's not because of the descriptions from last year, but maybe they're so afraid. Like, there's no episode titles either in IMDb or wherever. Like, until like the episode drops, we don't know the episode title, and there's no. This is the description that they've kept. Like, if you go back and check today, it's the same description. So they're really trying to keep their cards close to their chest, I guess. Maybe they're just afraid because they don't have any experience with doing the week to week for this show, and they don't want to give anything away. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
it's a
don't
little
know.
of both. We shall see.
Yeah, maybe.
We shall see. So yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get to the the writer and the director, and we have a little bit of new and a little bit of old. So we'll get to the old, and that's the director, and that's a gentleman named Frederick E.O. Toye, or Toye. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And he was the director for last week's episode, and he directed several episodes in the previous season, and he's clearly part of the production team. And like I said last week, this guy is a pro. He's, worked in directing television in the last 15, 20 years easily, and, worked on shows like The Boys and The Terminal List and Shogun, Snowpiercer, and did 2 episodes of The Walking Dead, which were the Reaper stories from the kind of the bonus season of season 11. That we got, the COVID bonus episodes. He did 2 of those. And so that's our director. Again, I think he's pretty damn good. This episode I thought really moved well, and it was put together well. The action worked good, and again, the guy knows what he's doing, so no complaints from me. The writer is the new person for this week, and it is a guy named Chris, and then it's a hyphen. It's Brady Denton. So so Chris Brady Denton, and he actually is the story editor for the show for this season. That's his main job with Fallout, and he this is the only episode that he's written. And other than that, this guy has not done all that much yet. Last season on Fallout, he was credited as a writer's assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if that meant like he got coffee a lot or what he did, but he did work on the show, so he was part of last season as an assistant, and now he's graduated up, and this season he's the story editor, and they did give him a crack at writing this particular episode. Other than that, he has like a couple of acting credits in some shorts and things, but really, like I said, this is his first time like dipping the toe in the TV production universe. So we're really getting to see what he's going to do here, as opposed to there's other things out there that he's done that you could go, oh, I've seen that. That's good. So, so that is our writer and our director.
What a fantastic opening. As I talked about when we were, doing our little quick thoughts there on how we felt about the whole episode as a whole, there are some really great scenes in this episode. There's some good dialogue. There's some funny moments. There's some poignant moments. There's some really good moments in this episode. I honestly think that the best of the whole episode is the, I mean, technically cold open, but it's the opener of the whole episode, and that's where we get the backstory of Shady Sands, on how it was exploded. And it's really interesting because it's right at a good time where, you know, we know a little bit about Maximus. We knew he was from Shady Sands. We'd already seen a little clip that they used last season that showed him as like the sole survivor coming out of the refrigerator and walks right into, you know, he's saved by it's a knight from the Brotherhood that pops it open and finds him. And
Yep.
And hilarious that they also have an icebox moment in this episode as well. But not with a living child on the inside. But, you know, so we already sort of have an idea of like the structure of how it all went down, but to see like the detail and you only get like 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes of like extra detail where you get a sense of who Maximus's parents were, that they were these really great people, very down to earth, very friendly. They were, you know, good community members. He seemed to be a engineer of some kind, engineer/scientist, because he had just figured out some way to irradiate the water so that they could make sure it was clean. And there was also, you know, he tried to tackle the bomb itself and disarm it. And so it just seems like an intelligent man who's got some, you know, some smarts. He seems like he's probably very, very worthy in that community. And it just really, you get this sense that they were just a peaceful group of people that were just living their lives and trying to improve and make things better. And, you know, their first reaction to clean water is, you know, we can have more crops. You know, we don't have to ration as much, you know. And then he's like, we could have more kids, which was a funny moment. But it's just this...
well, her response
is great.
Like,
once you figure out how to push it out of your butt, and he's like, oh, okay, so that's a no.
Yeah.
But you get, you know, it's just these quick little vignettes, and you get a really great sense, really well written, really greatly acted. These are some really great performers there. Give you a sense of the kind of family structure he came from, and then we get the guy coming in with the bomb and seeing that he had the what are we calling it? I don't know. Has it been given a name? The device that's on the back of the neck? It
has not. No. Yeah, it's the neck chip. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, they have not officially said what it is, but
we know what it's doing. We know that he's under, and you knew something was up anyway. You know, when he comes in and he's, you know, a sure sign of the of being controlled is the phrase. Like, there's a certain phrase that they're just saying over and over again. You know, this is the same thing that happened with the Sugar Pops guy in the last episode. You know, when you see that in them. So he's, you know, got this phrase that, you know, he keeps repeating over and over about nuclear winter, and it's
and he's bleeding from his eyes.
You know, these are all
little
unsettling things, right?
Yeah.
And then to see that he does have the chip attached to the back of his neck, so we know. You know, they don't know anything. They just know that, you know, that wasn't there before. Somebody attached this to him, you know, and then they find the bomb and they try to
Well, see, that's what I wanted to ask you, is that the way that Maximus' dad reacts when he sees the neck chip. I mean, he like knows immediately that something's bad is up. And I'm wondering, do you think he was a Vault-Tec guy or was a Robocore guy and was aware of that program. And so then when he saw that, he was like, oh
I
no, you
don't,
know?
you know what? I didn't get that sense. I got the sense that he was a man of like mechanical knowledge and saw, this is like their regular guy or one of their regular guys that comes in with their um this sort of shipment every week, or he does bartering or with them if memory serves. But either way, he's usually there with some type of supplies, and so they know who this man is, or they're at least familiar with him, and they've never seen that
Hmm.
thing that's on the back of his neck, and you can see it's got an antenna. So, and he's already on the ground and is doing that repeat of the phrase. He's got the blood, and so everything sort of already has a negative connotation to it. So if you see the thing on the back of the neck, and then you must know that there's something else is strange. I wonder as well, like, is this the first time that they've tried to send somebody back to them? Maybe they've seen, you know, maybe the dad has seen someone before with one of those things on the back of their neck, and it was like a trial run and it didn't work, like they sent someone through and the head exploded or whatever. So who knows? But I don't know. I didn't get a sense that he worked for the companies, but it's certainly a possibility. I just felt like he just saw something that stood out and didn't make sense in the moment, and it made him investigate further. So that's what I got. But I can certainly see if we get some sort of information down the road that his dad, you know, worked for those companies in some manner, I would not be surprised as well. That would make some sense as well. So yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, again, it would be they'd have to a lot of explaining to do because that would, how did he survive the hundreds of years and all that? You know what I
Right.
mean? There would be a lot of hoops to jump through.
True.
So, but the way he reacted to it, I almost thought it almost looked like, like, oh, he's seen these before.
Mm,
And so he knew, you know what I mean? Where
right.
he's like, uh-oh, like this guy, someone is, basically this is some kind of a weapon that's being sent against us kind of a thing because of the way he
Right.
reacted.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the opening too. Again, you have him and he's got that massive, machine attached to the well, to the pump, and he's fiddling with it, tinkering with it, and then he gets the water out of it and then puts the Geiger counter on it. And as we all know from watching Chernobyl, when it's in the green like
Mm,
that, then you can drink it
yeah.
down. When it's clickety clacketing all over the place, then you run. uh and he turns to his wife and he's like, oh my God, look, we have clean water. And like, and they're you really get the sense that like this community is like, prospering. And with the advent of like that ability of, we can create or pump up our own clean water, that they can continue to expand. It's going to get even better. That the best is yet to come, right? That oh my God, we have 1,000 people now. We're going to have 10,000 people in a year, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? It's just going to be, we're going to rebuild the world, that kind of thing. And it's very hopeful, and then sure enough, here comes Hank's little present,
Yeah.
and so I liked when he tries to defuse it and then that doesn't work, and then he has 2 minutes and he just, rather than just trying to get away, he just goes and puts his son in the icebox, which I did have some very, very violent flashback moments, some PTSD moments of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull,
Oh yeah.
where he survives a nuclear explosion in an
Hmm.
icebox, and everyone hates that moment because it's awful and terrible and really bad. Anyway, sorry, I just don't want to go down that hellhole anymore. but he sticks his son in there, and I like that he kind of it's almost to me like he imparts like Maximus's like whole mantra for life, the way he
Yes.
approaches life from
Yes.
that moment on. When his dad goes, now listen, it can be tough out there, but as long as we leave it a little better than we found it, we did okay.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's Maximus, what he's trying to do
Yeah.
now. And kind of what he tried to do last season. Although last season, I think he was still kind of growing up and figuring out who he was, because he was still just a squire, and all of that stuff was going on. But now that he is actually in a position to change
Mm-hmm.
things, to be an instrument of
Yeah.
change, with the fact that he's a knight, and he's clearly a respected knight in this chapter of the Brotherhood, and people look up to him and expect him to lead the way. He's trying to like live up to the words of his dad,
Yeah.
and so I thought that was a real cool
Yeah.
little moment as well.
Yeah.
So overall, I liked it. I thought it was a fun
Yeah.
opening.
And I like that they chose to also there was a little bit of a tease, because they sort of, once they have the mushroom cloud and everything explodes, it sort of dissolves into this scene of Hank washing his hands. And you can tell it's him
Mm-hmm.
because he's got the Pip-Boy, and you look at it and you're like, when you look at it, my first thought was that it was current day, and it was him, just washing his hands, we're going to do a Hank scene. And it's not. It's at that time when the explosion was happening. And it's interesting, the imagery they use, because it makes it feel like, okay, I have this dirtiness on me that is, we set this detonation, and I need to feel clean of it. So it's very, very Hamlet-y, very, he washed his hands clean of the event. You can see, and he took the Pip-Boy off because he didn't want to know, and he sets it aside, and it says, detonation complete, but he goes off to go, tell a story with Lucy, young Lucy.
Yeah.
So I liked that combination, because, we talked in the last episode about how there's this sense that we're going to really, really come to grips with the brutality of Hank as a person. The choices he's made, these awful choices he's made. He thinks for the greater good. He thinks for his daughter, for his community, blah, blah, blah. But they're ultimately terrible decisions. And this is one of them. He's, in one breath, able to annihilate an entire community of people who weren't doing anything wrong, and then just turn around and walk in the other room and read a story with Lucy and be able to just like, slough it right off of him. He's not bothered by it, it doesn't seem. So, okie dokie, move on. So I just thought it's a great scene to learn more about Maximus, and it's also a great scene to see, we haven't plumbed the depths yet of how far down Hank will go, to in the name of, like I said, like, help his community, do something for his daughter, whatever he uses as an excuse for the reason why he does something terrible. I'm not sure we've plumbed those depths yet. He can still go further down from here, which is sad to know that
Right,
there's
exactly.
something down there that's worse than complete annihilation of a peaceful group of people who weren't doing anything wrong, and had actually, just as you were about to annihilate them, had discovered a way to. It's interesting, the dichotomy of, they fixed their water problem, and here are these people that are in their vault and they have a water problem. So you reap what you sow, kind of thing. So I thought it was very, very interesting.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting too how we just see how Hank is so able to just compartmentalize
Oh yeah.
everything, because he just, like you said, he just basically exterminated, I don't remember what the population was of Shady Acres, but I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Right? It was Shady Sands had a huge population, 20,000 people, whatever. he, incinerated them, and then in like a heartbeat, he's like, we hear Lucy, come read to me, and he's like, okie dokie, and he's back to being, Hank, the dad, the good guy, the guy that could never do any of this stuff,
Yeah.
and like you said, I think this is just, I agree, I think this is just the beginning of, we're going to learn all about, all kinds of horrible things that Hank has done.
Yeah.
That it's so far.
There's more to come, that's for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I liked that we sort of moved from that moment to I think we got the title card first and then move into the Maximus scene. Is that right? Yeah, because because you made a note about that they're still doing this great thing where the artwork for the title card ties into the storyline of that actual episode a little bit, and in this one you made a note about it as well.
Yeah. When he goes in and he sits down on the couch with Lucy, and they're gonna read the Willow and the Wind, or whatever the book was she wanted to read. Then it cuts to the Fallout card.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of tie in with what's going on or what has just happened, it's showing like the nuclear winter, so the ash is kind of snowing, right, behind and in front of the Fallout graphic.
Yeah.
And so, they are definitely continuing that from last season. And like we said, it's pretty interesting to see what are they going to do, how. What are they going to grab from just the opening minutes of each episode and incorporate that into the thing? So yeah, it was fun. I thought it was a neat, nice little touch to kind of help just add that little bit of emphasis of, oh yeah, all those people that we just saw living in like perfect harmony, with a Coke and a smile and everything, they're all dead. They all got nuked out. And I think, don't we also kind of get the long effect shot of like of Shady Acres, and we see the mushroom cloud, and then the shock wave comes rippling towards the camera, and like the buildings and the wrecked cars all get messed up. You know what I mean? So we see the destruction going on, and then and as Hank is like you said, literally washing his hands of everything and going back to being the swell dad that is gonna read for his daughter, because that's what you do. And boom, then you get the nuclear winter to just kind of add that little exclamation point to the whole thing of, bad guy, not a good dude.
Exactly. So we go to finally we get to see Maximus again, not as a 7-year-old boy. He's it's normal times, it's normal ages. And to me, like the first scene, and they show him, clearing this area to get to an artifact for them to use. That setup to me is very like the video game. It's, we're going to clear this space, get this one thing, bring it back to our people and plug it in, and we're going to need it to move on to the next phase. It's so very video game coded. It's amazing. And to me, and I mean, just for me, and I don't play a lot of video games, but I see, images, and I've watched other people play some of these games, not necessarily Fallout, but some of the others. And there's always scenes where you're in this first person game, and you're walking through somewhere, and these undead creatures or some type of creatures come out from the sides of the room, and it's dark, and they come out from the sides of the room, and your flashlight lights them up, and it's like boom, 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 and you blow them away. And this scene felt so much like a video game to me. It was so obviously that. And then it's, like I said, they get into this office area, they find this, this special thing they're supposed to bring with them, and they find it, they take it, they go. Like it was such a video game to me. So what did you think of our first scene back with Maximus?
Yes, the same thing. It was very, very video gamey, very much like Fallout, it was obviously like a mission,
Mm-hmm.
that he and his team are to go into that whatever it was, that building, that facility, and find the artifact. And of course, there's a bunch of feral ghouls that are all living in there, if that word applies. Whatever it is they're
Yeah.
doing, they're existing in there, right? And they gotta clean them all out. And you're right, it was very, very much like something that would happen in the game. And we get the Iron Man shot, of his face right inside the mask, inside the helmet, and we got all the heads-up display stuff is around his face and so on, and you get the sense that he's it's him, and he's walking through it, and he's shooting everybody. And I like the fact that he still has the same suit of armor from last season with the bear claws scratches across the chest and across the arm, because it helps you figure out which one's him. Because all the armor is exactly the same, right? Yeah. They all look the same, so yeah, that's I like that. And you're right, it's straight out of the video game. It's exactly like one of those missions that you do, where or if you're just walking around and you find a building and you can go inside it, it's like, yeah, okay, there's going to be something in there, and it pretty much goes just like that. And either they end up killing you and then you start over, or you're able to wipe them out, and then you find whatever it is that's in there, the treasure, the reward, whatever. And in this case, it was that like cheese grater thing that he finds that is some piece of ancient tech. And I think it's interesting that I'm not sure how much time has passed between the end of season 1 and now. Not all that much, because Lucy and the ghoul are still on the road. So, maybe like a couple of weeks, wouldn't you think, at the most? Yet Maximus is clearly bored out of his mind.
Yes, I got that sense as well. Yeah.
And almost, I don't want to say he's jaded, but I think he's like on the road to jaded about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because when they finally kill that last ghoul that does that like weird, stand up with your back arched all the way on the ground, like she's clearly, they hired like a contortionist to do all that, because she's bending her spine in ways that normal humans don't. And they kill her, and then he clears the desk off, and there's the thing. And there's a knight standing next to him, and the knight's like, we did all this for that. And then he opens up his faceplate, and he's like, it doesn't matter, just take it and let's get back to the vertibird, And so again, there's no emotion. He's not happy that he achieved the goal. He's not excited. He's just sort of like, let's just go.
Yeah, like he's almost like he's unmotivated, like unplugged, like he's detached. Thank you. Yeah. That's a really good way to put it. And I think he believes the things he says to Dane later in the episode about the whole, it's our duty to, like, he says the stuff about that his dad said, duty. He says the same thing his dad does about, it's our responsibility to leave things a little bit better, for the next person. And I think he believes that, but like you said, I think he's getting disenchanted with the whole process. It is like they put themselves at risk. They go into this area, and sure, he told Quintus that it wasn't that hard to kill some of them. They call them abominations. And to take care of them, get rid of them. He made it seem like it was not that hard, and it probably wasn't that hard, but they are still putting themselves at risk by going out there every day. And for what? It was literally like just a cartridge that gets plugged in. And sure, does it help lead to whatever their new place, their location is going to be? Sure, but it's at what cost? Like eventually, is there going to be a cost? From that. And it's hard to see the forest for the trees when you're there. So I get it. Poor Maximus, let me tell you. I know.
Poor Maximus.
So just as you're starting to feel a little sympathy for Maximus, don't worry, we'll just pivot to a new storyline. So we do.
That's
so
right,
we're back
baby.
to Lucy and the ghoul, and they are, just, walking through the desert. And it's great because the timing of them having an argument, and actually an argument where it looks like she was making some, not, I don't want to say progress, but she hit home, because he's his usual dickish self. And she made a comment about, we're trying to find your family, and she makes the comment that I think a lot of people are thinking, which is, I know it's been 200 years, but, I've been surprised by things, so they could still be around. We don't know.
Really, at this point, everything is on the table.
It's totally true. But of course, since we've seen that people are put into freezers and everything, it's entirely possible that his family is in a freezer somewhere. But, she makes this really pointed remark where she says, you probably weren't like this all the time. You became this. And she's like, do you want your I assume you want your family to like you when they come back. And she basically is like, they're not going to like you if you act like this, if you're an asshole all the time, and he doesn't have a comment for her. And you can see that it hit. It made him think. And they keep walking. And right as she might have been able to like make some more progress there with, something, some kind of follow-up, whatever it may be, she starts talking about, and she starts talking about Christmas Carol, which is hilarious considering how close to Christmas these episodes have been falling. She's like, oh, Charles Dickens wrote this really great story all about it. Can I tell you? No. And then it clips so she told him the whole story of... Because she's like, then in the end, he's cured after seeing all three of the ghosts. And you're like, oh, God, he just got the whole Dickens Christmas Carol. And they're near a structure and she can hear someone calling for help. And he's already ready to like throw her off a cliff because she's just too much to handle. And she's like, well, we got to go save them. And he's like, no, you effing don't. Like this, he gives her all
empathy's like mud. You're just gonna lose your boots.
He gives her all the knowledge he possibly can, and she still is like, no, we're gonna go inside, and they do. And all I did on my notes was like, no, don't go there. She made a comment where she says to him, helping someone is never a waste of time. And to that I say, is it though?
Is it though? Yeah. It's like,
I wonder, in knowing what happens when they get in there, would Lucy feel the same way if they were like, okay, you will save someone. However, this is what you're going to encounter when you go in there, and they're dangerous, and you might get stung, and it might, this might happen, that might happen. What do you think? I'm
yeah. You sure you're up for it?
I don't know if she will.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that scene when they get inside and we get the these awesome scorpions, these red scorpions. So let's talk it through a little bit. What did you think of that scene? We all know what was going to happen. As soon as she's like, I'm going to go after somebody that's calling for help, you know that it was going to fall apart when they get inside, because that's just the way it works. But what were your expectations when she went inside? Did it pan out? I mean, no one expects radiated scorpions, but did it pan out in a way that you were expecting? Was it all unexpected? What were your thoughts on the scene?
Well, to be honest, I thought it was a trap at first.
Yeah.
It's just sort of, I just as soon as that woman screamed, the first thing that jumped into my head was Tom Hardy
I was gonna say
Fury
the same
Road
thing.
going, no, trap. That's a trap.
You wanted,
bait,
I was expecting the ghoul to point towards the building and go, that is bait.
Yeah, right. That was the first thought that I have. That's how jaded, my cold and dead heart is, that I'm just that you don't go in there, And I think it's really interesting that the whole thing that sparks Lucy to kind of berate the ghoul in the first place about, you need to really try and be a better person because you could meet your family at some point, is that he doesn't say like, please, when he, takes the water, like the canteen from her.
Yep.
He just goes, water. And then when she picks it up, he just, like rips it out of her hand. And she's like, excuse me, that's what sparks this whole thing, right? And he's just sort of like rolling. I don't think he has eyebrows anymore, but he'd be, giving the eye roll of a lifetime if he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I think that Mark, that line does impact him, but I think it's different because, I mean, think about it. There's a really good chance that he's going to look for his wife because he wants to kill her.
You think so?
Well, because she clearly took their daughter and left him.
Yeah.
And on top of it, from everything that he heard with his listening device, she's the reason, the whole world ended.
Yeah.
So I it would not surprise me if that's the ultimate, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm just going to bash your brains in kind of a reunion that he's going to have with her. Although I think it did register with him because he's probably, for the first time in a long time, is actually starting to consider the fact that he might actually reunite with his family. I mean, that was been his goal for the last 200 years, but it's sort of like finding a needle in a stack full of needles. I mean, where are they? They could be anywhere. You have no leads. It's 200 years ago. Now it's like, nope, you know what? We actually might find them. That they might be there. And now he might come and meet his daughter again. And the fact that, like Lucy said, it's like, look, you got to be a nice person because you want your family to like you, right? Yep. And I think so. I'm not 100% convinced about the wife. I really think that he might be like, honey, I'm home. Bang.
Yeah.
But the daughter, clearly, I think he wants her back. I think he wants to find her. And maybe that comment got him to actually think about, what is my daughter going to think about me? Because first of all, look at me. I'm clearly a monster in every sense of the word. And if what's inside of me is just as awful as what I look like, my kid's going to run screaming, So I do think you're right. I think Lucy definitely scored some points there. But anyway, the actual the encounter inside the hospital. First of all, I think we've learned on the television version of Fallout is do not go into hospitals of any kind. It is just not a good choice at all.
No.
Nothing good can happen there, right? No. And the first thing that I noticed, which I just laughed out loud, is that as they're walking in they're still outside. They're like walking in to like to go through the doors. On one of the walls in the background is this big banner, and it says half off lobotomies.
Which is, you got to think, is that a play on words? Is it a half a lobotomy? Is it? I don't know. Will the lobotomy take half your brain?
Half your brain? Maybe that means they let you keep the little piece of brain afterwards. You can take it home with you.
It's kind of like when you get your wisdom teeth taken out. Do you get to put them in a jar and bring them home with you?
Yeah, right. Do you get to put them under your pillow? Well, but I think that's really funny because in the 50s, especially, lobotomies were like very common and prescribed for everybody. Oh, you're nervous? Yeah, have a lobotomy. I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, that was kind of the medical science approach to, if you're having issues with your brain, we're just going to pop that little piece of it out and that'll fix everything,
Yeah, exactly.
But so it's definitely tying into kind of what the 50s era would have been doing. I just thought it was very funny. And I'm like, yeah, half off. Well, we should go get one,
Yeah.
But so anyway, they go inside and then they run into the girl, and there's her like friend, and they're both injured. They're lying down and can barely move, and help, all this stuff, and of course she goes to the girl, and she reveals she only has one stim pack left, and she's going to use it, and then the ghoul's like, that would be a horrible allocation of our resources, and yep. and he clearly like recognizes like what her group of people are. you know,
Yes.
and obviously has had dealings with them, and he's like, you know, a stem pack, that's a waste on somebody like that. He doesn't deserve it or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, clearly you have history with this group of people, whatever. And he like goes up to the guy who is, you know, also alive but injured, and he just like slices his throat, just kills him.
Yeah.
You know, just bang, dead. And then he like takes like a piece of like his like neck skin, maybe a little bit of meat,
Yep.
and he eats it.
He's like, you found us dinner.
Yeah. And at least we got something to eat. Yeah, and, you know, all right, and it's disgusting. However, it's kind of like an early warning system because he immediately becomes sick.
Yeah.
And spits it out.
Yeah.
And that's when he looks at the dead guy, and you see, you know, like he's got like the green pussy blistery kind of stuff on his skin,
yeah.
Which tells you that they've been poisoned, you know, that there's something, you know, injected into them somehow.
Yeah.
And then you start hearing the scuttling, which is great because it's a closed captioning, you know, it points out like faint scuttling.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that isn't good, you know. And then I think at that moment, Dogmeat proves to be the most sensible out of the three of them, because Dogmeat's like, yeah, I'm leaving, and just tears ass out of there like, yeah, you guys can deal with this on your own. I'm going back outside, you know. So, but yeah, when the scorpions came out, yeah, it was very cool. Very much a very common monster in the game,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I think it's easy to kind of look at it as like, oh, it's like a mama scorpion and her baby scorpions, but that's actually not what it was. It's like the babies, which I would point out, they're like the size of like a dog.
Yeah, those are,
and they're scorpions, right?
Yes.
So you know, they're not babies. Those are like full size scorpions, and then the one that kind of comes out, the big one that comes out, that's like you know, an elite rare, you know, a monster encounter in the game. You ran into those guys, and they're just pains in the ass. They're not impossible to kill, but they're just pain in the ass. You know, you're like, oh god, you know.
Yeah.
And again, it was very fun, you know, exciting the way they staged it, and of course, you know, there's a lot of grenade play in this episode. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes.
But so the ghoul ends up stuffing the grenade inside it, and it blows up. But the ghoul gets stung, and the girl that they're trying to rescue also gets stung by this massive scorpion, and now Lucy has a choice to make. And what did you think about who she decided to heal? What were your thoughts on that?
I feel like that choice is gonna bite her in the ass, because he holds grudge is the other thing, and yes, it won't kill him, but he can still feel pain, and he can inflict pain, and he's done it to Lucy before, and he had like a couple of different things to say about this gal and her guy that were there. Like as soon as they walked in, she was like, oh, tunics, don't see you guys this far east usually, you know. And and so he, like you said, he's had dealings with them, he knows them, obviously feels like they're not worth it. So even before we get more information, it felt like the wrong choice. And I know why she did it. I know why Lucy did it, and it makes sense for her character to have done that. I think it would have seemed like, I think it's the wrong choice, but I also think if Lucy had organically said, okay, I'll help you and we'll leave her behind, it would have gone against everything that she said as they were going in, helping people out, golden rule, all that other stuff. And so I think it would have been very out of character for her if she had not helped the woman over helping the ghoul, you know. And he's already exhibited that he's not very thankful as well, so he doesn't make it easy to help him, you know, because of his attitude. I was not surprised. What I was surprised at was how she justified it. What the things she said. She was very, talking about how terrible and cruel he is. And then on top of it, she made the comment that because he was like golden rule, and she's like, yeah, that's for people. You're not one, And so it was like she made her point by also making a dig, and it's true. I mean, he's not really human anymore, but it feels like in that moment he's in pain, and she was saying like his pain meant nothing, and I know that wasn't really her intention, but her denying him, I think, actually hurt him more than the pain of the actual sting, because her word too, the things she said about, he doesn't deserve the help because he's not even human, I think that those really
she'll die, you won't.
I think those really says. I think those really stung him. Not to belabor it and say that over and over again, but I think they really did. So I'm curious to see, because she, as we see later in the episode, she's kind of happened upon a situation that might need a little saving. So I'm curious to see how generous he is with trying to help her or save her, whether it's from these people or whatever else, because it's gonna happen again. So I'm not, I think Lucy's gonna regret that. She's gonna end up saying she's sorry, I feel like, because she feels bad about
she
stuff.
will because she will.
What about you? Were you surprised she made that choice?
Oh no, I agree with you. That if they would have gone the other way, that would have been just not her character at all.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's no way she would save the girl, because again, she knows that he's going to be like in pain and be suffering a little bit, but he's not going to die.
Right.
And when they're walking away, her and the girl, and she's like, don't worry about him. He's tough. He'll make it. And the girl's like, I wasn't, and then she's like, okie dokie, but I do like when she tells him, she's like, you're nothing like me, or I'm nothing like you. And then she helps the girl, but then she goes, that's why I'm going to come back and help you when I'm finished with her. So she kind of adds that, like, because I'm a nice person,
yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, but you're right. It's like, oh, Lucy, poor Lucy. She's way too trusting and optimistic about everything. And I mean, she literally walks into a whole like extra helping of trouble at the end of the episode.
Oh yeah. She it's like that.
But yeah,
foisted on her own petard like almost immediately. So, and that girl that she's with, she's got that moment where she's like, hello, and that girl's like, no, peace out. You're on your own here.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's or did she is she part of that group? And she led her back to that. We don't know. We don't know what happened because that girl is just gone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's interesting that girl gives her a very cryptic message at one point right before they fall into where all the like the Roman clad people show up, where that girl looks at her and goes, you're a nice person, and I'd hate for you to get raped by the wrong group of people.
So. Should she instead get raped by the right group of people?
But the right group? I know, and even Lucy's like, thank you. You know what I mean? She's like, I don't know what to make of that statement.
That's definitely a cryptic thank you. I don't know where we're going with this, but thank you.
I would just prefer to not get raped at all. That would be my choice.
Let's stick with that as an idea. That's a much better, pleasant idea, I think. Yeah. But
like I said at the beginning in our quick thoughts, I was just amazed that we got this much with Lucy and the Ghoul. I would have thought it would have been minimal, like maybe like at the very end of the episode we'd get a teaser scene for them for the next episode, because I thought for sure this was going to be all Maximus and setting up the Brotherhood and what's going on with them. So, but it was fun though. I the Scorpions it was neat from being a video game nerd like me to see them, and see them incorporate more and more stuff, actual monsters and things from the game, and the way that the attention to detail that all these people have in making sure that however they look in the game, that's how they're looking on the show. And just for the idiots like me, it's like, yay, they did it right. So
well, it's nice to know that you're enjoying it and that you admit that you're an idiot. It's just,
of course,
listen, the new year is right around the corner, and it's like,
that's right.
You gotta know who you are. Be true to yourself.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. So we have a real quick scene with Norm before we move back to, I believe, Hank there. And there's really quick where we see just really fast that the defrosting buds are, when they come out, very quickly descends into, well, what do you mean? Where's Bud? What's happening? Why isn't, the very first person was like, weren't we supposed to be like defrosted one at a time? Like, he's confused that there's all these people around. Because we don't know what the plan is, but it does make sense that they would, defrost them one at a time to sort of integrate them into the group. Here and there, so because that's what's been happening so far, and so they're immediately suspect. He loses control of the situation very quickly. So we immediately get them like, what's happening? And it's like, you can,
I want to go back in my pod.
Yeah, and you can see he's immediately regretting his decision, and it cuts away to another storyline, but is a really great way to sort of start out, because the payoff with Norm and the other folks, the unfrozen buds, it really turns out to be a really great sort of turn of events for him and for that group of people. But yeah, all I wrote in my notes was that he has a lot on his hands. The defrosted ones have questions, concerns, and they're starting to freak out a little bit. The one girl who's like, someone drank all the water in my welcome pack, and I'm like, I think Norm did that.
Yeah. Norm ate all. Yeah. And also it's kind of funny because that explains, I pointed out last week that he, all those open kits are there, and it was literally a grooming and snacks kit, and which I just thought was amusing, but that makes sense now, because it's like you come out of your tube, out of your pod, and you wake up and there's a kit right there for you to, kind of clean yourself up a little and do a little grooming. And because, your hair's probably grown a little and your fingernails have grown, and maybe, you want to brush your teeth or whatever. And then on top of it, we're going to throw in a little bit of snacks for you too, because you're probably hungry. So I thought, I'm like, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. The other thing I really liked about that scene is that we get the resolution of what happened to Bud.
Yeah.
Or as he is credited as Roomba with the brain, in that we see the smashed Roomba, kind of sitting in that bucket, that janitor's bucket that's next to where Norm is, right? And so after he started thawing everyone out, he clearly decided to eliminate Bud. So, but Bud is no more.
Bye-bye, Bud.
Thank you for playing.
Bud be gone. So when we do pivot over to another storyline, we check back in with Hank, and Hank is really hard at work with really trying to control the mouse population where he is, and by doing that, he's just exploiting them one at a time over several days. He's been working probably days, weeks, whatever. We're not really given any kind of sense of time of how long he's been working on it, but you have to figure, it's got to be at least a few days considering how many explosions we see. So yeah, it's a lot of exploding mice. But he's really
lots of splatty mice.
He's really trying to work through those different sizes, because that little smallest, like, micro size of the chip is perfect for the small little mouse there. So it's he's testing it out on them, and it's it's the right size. It's just not the right calibration just yet.
No. Still some kinks to work out. The thing that got me is, after a while, I'm like, dude, like, take more than like one mouse at a time. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, clearly it takes you like 20 minutes to like drive that little cart into the bowels of this facility to the livestock room and get another mouse. It's like, just bring like 10 of them. You know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand he's got to kind of fill his days, but it does really seem like he has to take if it's far enough that he has to drive, like the golf cart thing, then it's kind of a trip, So yeah, you're correct. Right. Perhaps a bucket of mice is the smarter idea. Yeah.
So, at least 2. You know what I mean? It's a come on, man. What are you doing? But although ultimately that, I think, is what convinces him that, the whole like testing on the mice is never going to yield any results. I think we need to like get bigger.
Yeah. And maybe, dip into the, premium elite plus level of test subjects. So, and I have to say, like, I mean, we can jump to that because that's a pretty quick resolution there. But when he stopped at the premium elite plus, and it was clear there was a person, was your first thought, like, at least for me, that at some point is he gonna pull someone out of there to test on, and it's gonna be a face that we know? What do you think?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's where Barb and the daughter are. You never know, right? I mean, I kind of got the sense that this facility, wherever it is, that's probably not where she is. Don't you think she's with a house with what's his name, with the guy who invented the guy from that they recast that character.
Oh yeah, the house guy.
His name Robert House. Yeah.
So he'd have.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. So he's got to be somewhere in Vegas then, right? With her?
I don't know. I mean, he's in Vegas. Hank is in Vegas, and the way he was talking on the radio, it kind of made it seem like Robert House is not there, that he's somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think we have to learn more. They haven't quite given us all the pieces to that puzzle yet, so it's unclear. But the way the resolution happened, where he thaws out the guy who's, by the way, his name was Steve. Just gonna throw that out there. That clearly is like a paying customer. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not like a Vaultec employee.
No, yeah.
That's not someone that's in on the plan. That's just like some citizen that saw the ads and went, yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to buy me a ticket and the rest of my family can suck it, which is why Hank picked him.
Right.
Is that, that guy, what does he say? Well, it's the episode description.
Yep.
You can't put a price on family. And the fact that guy put a price on family meant, as far as Hank is concerned, that he's clearly, experimental material.
Yeah.
And, so I don't, it's a real interesting question though, that, will he pull someone out that maybe he doesn't know, but like the audience will, because of the flashbacks we're getting with Coop. I don't know. That's a really good question. Really good question.
It'd be interesting to see. I liked that scene. I thought it was funny. In my note there, I put that I really think it's hilarious that the way they labeled it sounds very frequent flyery, So I'm curious, like, it'd be great if they showed him, driving around the facility some more, and there's, premium elite plus, premium elite plus platinum, or what, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's going to be hilarious to see if they have, like, all these different levels, if people spending the money. And
then will there be like a steerage or a business class, and it's like one big pod with everybody crammed into it? you know?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. What I thought was funny was, when Steve is kind of slowly waking up and Hank is talking to him about, what he would say, and then Steve's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm attempting to improve an old piece of technology, and you're gonna help me. And he's like, well, that's not what I signed up for. And then Hank's like, did you read the fine print? And Steve goes, yes, I did. And then Hank goes, well, I didn't. And then he just keeps going back to doing what he's doing.
Let me tell you, and it's interesting how he's like, oh, put your hands in here. And he's like, and he's like, I'm going to go ahead and lock those away so that you can't
lock those
do
in
anything.
There. You can't move. You can't get away. You can't pull the thing out of your neck. You can't do any of that stuff. Yeah.
I just had a thought that I'm curious to see, because it just dawned on me. So, okay. It doesn't feel like Hank is in a vault. He's in some type of vault tech facility, but I don't think he's in an actual vault, right?
No, I don't get that. I don't get that sense either. No, this is more like a workplace building type thing,
That means that there are people in like frozen areas that are not inside a vault, that didn't have anything to do with the vaults. They're just in a facility somewhere, some secure facility. So that's interesting to me, that it's like we had these people. So there's like the levels of like, you got the people who are in the vaults. And then when it gets to be just the right time, they'll come up to the surface, and in theory, they're supposed to let these other people out of their pods. I mean, I don't know.
I think that is the at least what Vault-Tec sold to everyone, is this idea of, if you buy a spot in the vault, for like just if you just bought like a ticket to the vault, you'd go in there and you would live in there until it was safe to return to the surface.
Yeah.
But then with like the guy Steve, he clearly, like you said, he bought the Premier Elite Plus level, which is the added thing of like, not only are you going to survive the atomic war that's going to wipe everything out on the surface, but we're going to freeze you. And then once the world has cleaned itself up and it's safe for us to go reemerge on the surface, then we're going to thaw you out. So you get to live out your life on the surface. So you don't get to live your whole life basically in this, bomb shelter that the regular vault people do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I like Lucy and all the people in Vault 33. They're like, second, third, fourth generation people that have never seen the surface.
Right.
That their parents and their parents' parents and all that, they were just people that were born in the vault. They, probably married their cousin at some point. They had children, and then they died, right? And then their children did the same thing. And the difference here is that Hank was thawed out and brought over to be the overseer, because that was the strategy of Bud's, the plan that Bud was implementing, that all of the Vault 31 frozen people would one at a time be pulled out and sent over to run the other two vaults, So, but yeah, so I'm not sure what this place is that he's in, because you're right, it doesn't look like the other vaults. It doesn't have the number, there's no numbers on the walls. Like in 31 and 32 and 33, every corridor has a 31 or a 32 or a 33 painted on it, right?
Yep.
And it doesn't have the same kind of hatches and doors. It's much more of like it's almost like they built a building underground. Like they hollowed out this massive underground space, and then they constructed like a 5-story building or something. I don't know. I don't really yet have a good sense of the geography, of this, where he is.
Right. Yeah, I agreed. And I just thought it was interesting that it's like, we do agree, like it is secure of some kind, but it's not a vault. And so now it's established that there are people, because, they've got the buds, and they're all frozen, and they're inside a vault.
Mm-hmm.
But this one these people are frozen, but they're in some other kind of facility that are not connected to a vault.
Right.
So
maybe that's the Elite Plus. Maybe that's what that got that guy.
Maybe. We'll never really know, will we? Interesting.
Well, you didn't read the fine print.
I didn't. So let's talk a little bit about one of the, since we're already talking about Buds, let's chat a little bit about the Norm storyline, and we'll sort of finish off with all of the Maximus stuff, sort of keep that all together.
Okay.
But so Norm, you made a good point there too, that he did a good job of managing those people. Eventually, it took a little bit, and he had to think about it. But it worked out really well, because he clearly didn't have the answers. He wasn't ready for that part. Like he said to Bud when he did it. Doing something illogical, or, creating chaos is really like the only thing he could do in that moment. And he did that. He created the chaos, but he didn't really have a mental plan for managing the chaos. But here were these people who were, they were frozen because of their management abilities. And part of managing is brainstorming and coming up with an idea and how do we attack the problem, So he's inspired by that, and he lets them know, some of what he says is a little bit, not true, but some of it is true, and he...
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
His name is Norm.
Yeah,
I think
that's
true,
correct.
But...
I mean, he is the product of 200 years of genetic whatever, but it's... I mean, I wouldn't say it was
Is he really a
successful.
super manager?
No, he's not a super manager.
No.
He's not a super anything. The only thing he is super scared of doing stuff, and super, he's like the, middle management. Not even. Because when you think about all the different tasks that he's had inside the vault, he's never come upon something that he truly is excited by. He's tried a little bit of everything, mostly because he doesn't really care,
Right.
So he doesn't really have a sort of like experiential, knowledge of anything that they would need to get out of there. But then when he asks them, and as soon as he puts it to them, and they're immediately problem solving, and he gets that little grin on his face, he put it to them, and it's, it's not one person has to come up with this grand solution. It's, however many bodies there were, which we're not really sure, say like 60 or 70 of them, maybe at the most. It's probably a little less, it looks like. You put it to them, and they all had little moments of expertise. I took notes at a meeting where they talked about,
ventilation.
Yeah, he's like, so I can look at ventilation, and this girl was like, fire suppression. She immediately is like, I was in a meeting with...
Maybe we can get some water about that from that. Yeah.
Which is really smart, because as soon as she says it, Norm's like, I never thought about that. There probably are sprinklers that have water just lined up waiting to be drunk. And
somebody ate all my crackers.
They're like, don't worry about the crackers right now. We'll figure that out. And they eventually make it to their like, hey, there's a staircase here, which makes sense. It's very National Treasure. What's the first thing they would have done? Created an escape hatch or a ventilation shaft, which is pretty much exactly what that is. It's an emergency exit. It's just a shaft. It's very Lost. It's the shaft to the hatch. You know what I mean? It's just a set of stairs that just goes up or down. There's no frills.
Well, it's I don't think it was. I think it was a ladder. I don't think it was stairs.
No. Yeah. My bad. I meant to say ladder.
Yeah.
But it's steps, as it were, rungs on the ladder. The greatest part about that whole thing was the moment when they're all like so happy. They're like, "Oh, look at what we discovered! Aren't you happy? Aren't you proud of us?" And then they're like, "You first, boss." And he's
and he's just like, "Or."
Because old Norm would be like, "I'm gonna go hide over there, and you can do it." And he knows in that moment to keep everything solid and keep it cohesive and keep the lie moving. he has to do it. He has
Oh
to
yeah,
go
he
up
can't.
up that ladder. And he does not. He does not want to go up that ladder. You can tell, but he does.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it out, and they're out on the surface, and there's really just these really fantastic moments of wonder, and some really great comments. I mean, Ronnie's comment is the best.
Oh yeah, by far. Well, because Norm gets out and he's looking around and he literally is like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know, again, this is his first time he's ever seen the surface for real, ever.
Yeah.
You know, and which, think about it, all of those other people, they've been outside before, so this is not necessarily. I mean, it's new in that it's going to look different because of all the damage and the war stuff, but they've experienced it. He's never experienced like the sun hitting his face for real. You know, or the smell of the ocean, because they're right next to the Pacific right there, you know. And so he's looking around and he's like, it's beautiful. I mean, that's his reaction. And then everyone else is kind of climbing out of the air shaft, and then Ronnie, which is one of the peons, he's like, oh man, the mall's gone.
just a great note. And it's funny because it's, in that sense, it is a funny line. I laughed, and I'm sure lots of people laughed. Yeah. But in that, it actually conveyed exactly what you just said, which is, it was a reminder. Norm is the only one out of all of them who's never been up on the surface. He's never touched real sand before. He's never smelled the ocean. He's never had the real sun on his face. All of these other guys have. It's all, you know, and like you said, it all looks different now because of the war, but they have all experienced being in the real world before, and Norm has not. And you can tell in that moment, it's a transformative experience for Norm. And I cannot wait to see what this does for him, what it awakens inside of him, because he has been the character that's sort of like, he doesn't really have a focus or he doesn't have anything to sort of, he has no path to follow, as it were. Mm-hmm. And maybe this whole experience will give him that path. It'll open something up for him and make him, different, make him approach life differently. So I am so curious to see how the Norm stuff pans out. I think I hope it's as interesting as it's been so far. So
what I wonder is he going to lead his little flock right up to the door for Vault 33?
Just be like, hey, we're here.
Yeah, open up. We're all, because, I mean, clearly there's a gatekeeper guy that, they can communicate with his Pip Boys and stuff. Yep. So they, he can like, hey, then it's Norm. Yep. Norm, what are you doing out there? Long story, let me in. Well, I got to go get Betty to do that. I mean, what are you going to do? What is she going to do when she finds out that Bud's dead and, or clearly been, neutralized because he got out. Right. And he has all of the Buds with him. Yep. Whatever the plan is that Betty was working on, that's over. Yeah, it's done. So yeah, it's really. Or is he gonna be like, you know what? Screw the vault. We're going off. We're gonna try and find Lucy. Yeah. Who knows what he's gonna. I mean, he could definitely be. I think his storyline is gonna be the wild card storyline here. In that. Yeah. Where is he going to go? How is he going to show up? Because or at least my feeling is he's going to end up kind of like being like the cavalry for one of the other storylines. Either Lucy's going to be in trouble, or maybe Maximus, or maybe both of them. Maybe they'll be together, right. And it's not going to look good. It's going to look like, hey, they're really in deep doo-doo, and then Norm's gonna show up with his little group and turn the tide or something. Yeah. That's my thought on it. But what I really appreciated about the way he managed that group was how he looked at all of them when they're all kind of panicking and doing their own thing, and he goes, "Do you think we're all in here on an accident, or maybe they took a stim pack?" Yeah. Is that right? Is that what, did they use a stim pack?
I don't for what though to.
No, never mind. I'll talk about it later.
Oh, no. There's no stim pack involved.
Okay. All right. Just saying. Yes, people, there's a code going on. But he like literally he's like, do you think we're in here on accident? You think we're trapped in here because something went wrong? No, this is Bud's final test. Is that we have to work together to find a way out? And I'm like, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like that was just so smart of him, because all of those kids, and they're all young people, right?
Yes.
They're all in their 20s, right? There's no older, like 30 or 40 or higher people there. It's all young, like first, second job kind of level aged people, right? Isn't that what you kind of felt?
Yeah,
looking at them?
Sort of like entry level jobs. Like they were they were probably interns, or it was their very first job out of college kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So they're, and so they knew what the plan was. They knew who Bud was. They clearly respected, oh my God, whatever Bud says we're going to do. And when he painted it as like, this is his like ultimate challenge that you guys, if you want to prove to him that you are right for this job, there's a way out. We just have to find it. And I just thought, wow, that was just so smart. Because like you said, he was very close to losing that group.
Yes, it was like right on the edge there.
Yeah, where like they were pretty like, we don't care who you are, crazy person. We're gonna we're gonna do whatever. And so yeah, I thought that was really great. And then there was another I thought was just what I really love about this show was there was just this little detail that they threw in there that I just, for whatever reason, I'm like, wow, that's so great. In that when they the scene where we see like the human ladder where they've got people standing on everyone's shoulders leading up to like that little landing where the hatch is.
Yeah.
Right? And there's the two people, there's a guy and a girl, and they're on the landing, and the girl's like, there's a hatch. And so then and everyone else on the ground is up looking at him, and Norm's up looking at watching, and she reaches out and she grabs the door handle, and then she moves the lever to unlock it, and she's pulling on it, and then like the hatch like flies open and it like smacks her right in the face. And then she's like, I'm okay, right? And I believe she's the same girl who like fell down when she climbed out of her pod earlier, and she's like, I'm okay, right? But what was so great was then when Norm, when they're all like, you first, boss, right? Like you said, and he went, oh no, but so he climbs up there, and when he gets up to that level where she is, they had her with a bloody nose.
Oh, really?
And I just thought, I thought that was just so brilliant, because how many times do you see in any of these shows where somebody gets hit in the face with a door or something and they go, ah, and then the next time you see them, they're fine. There's no swelling, black eye, there's nothing. And here they just took that little extra little attention to detail that hatch smacks her right in the face, and the response, if you watch it again, she has one of her nostrils, there's blood that's running down into her mouth, and it's like a little trickle, you know what I mean? It's not spurting, you know what I mean? It's just like she got hit in the nose and she has a bloody nose, and I just thought that was so cool that they did that.
I missed it. I didn't even see it, but I appreciate the attention to detail there.
Yeah, I did too. I just thought that was really great. And what a great resolution to that storyline, where it like, okay, it gets him out of the vault, it gets him out of the immediate danger, but now it opens up, like he literally can go and do anything he wants.
Right.
In terms and what is he going to do? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to go back and try and find his friends in Vault 33 and rescue them? Or is he going to be like, yeah, F those people, I'm going this way? We don't know.
He could, I was thinking too, he could also just like ring the doorbell and just be like, hey, I've got these like 40 people that need to be let inside. But peace out. I'm going to go try and find my sister,
Maybe. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, interesting. So, interesting. And you're right. I like the way you put it. I think Norm's story has the most wild card aspect to it, because we don't really know what, there's, you look at storytelling stereotypes And you can see, like, you have some ideas of what some pathways are that could happen with, Lucy and the Ghoul and Maximus and with Hank and all of that other stuff. You've got some thoughts brewing in your head of, oh, it could go this way, whatever. It seems like it's leaning this way. But with Norm, there's really no path. It could really go a million different ways because he had no inclination, and he's sort of discovering what that path is going to be, and there's just no indication to us, the audience, as to what that will be. We'll have to see it when it happens. We'll discover with him in real time. So, all right, so let's talk Maximus and the Brotherhood and the Commonwealth and all of that. And I just want to say, for the sake of my sanity, that I find it really difficult right now because we just, like 2 years ago, finished talking about a long-running TV series where there was a big group of people that were living in a place and they were called the Commonwealth. And now we have a different show that we're watching, and there's a large conglomerate of folks together that are in charge somehow, and they're called the Commonwealth. And I don't know. Couldn't we come up with a different name? I'm just saying. I don't know. Anyway, so,
well, see, okay. I was gonna save that to the end, but the Commonwealth, that group of the Brotherhood, they are your people, my dear.
My people. Oh, are they? Oh,
they
they're
are
Boston.
They are from Boston. Yes,
well.
and Fallout 4 takes place in Massachusetts. That's where the game is, and
okay.
Boston is the main city. Like I said, Fenway Park or Park is a settlement that they live in, and like you explore Boston and you find like the North Church. There's a lot of Revolutionary War stuff in there. There's like the Freedom Trail that you can follow, which I believe is a real thing, right?
Yes.
In Boston, and so and the Brotherhood that's there's like the whole state of Massachusetts is, of course, not a state, it's a commonwealth, right? Like you said, and that has somehow survived into this apocalypse. And so when Kamali shows up at the end and gets out of his vertibird, he literally came from the East Coast, so traveled all the way across the country. So
all right,
it is your
those are my people's
friggin' descendants.
Look,
all right,
they'll get a little bit of a pass, but I'm just saying, like, I understand that they had to call it that because there's intrinsically a name from the game, etc., and the name makes sense based on the location and all of that. I get that. I'm just saying we're now going to have to be talking about the Commonwealth again. At least in this instance, using the name the Commonwealth for their community makes more sense because that's what they're called in real life. But whatever. I don't know. It was just something to complain about. What can I say? All right, let's.
Well, because you're from the Commonwealth.
I am from
the
Commonwealth.
You're a very angry, sweary person. We all get it. We understand.
Yes. I now that I know that, I'm gonna be looking and see if if Kumail has an accent, and if he doesn't, I'm gonna write to him and tell him that he sucks. I'm kidding.
Yeah, okay, and I think you should get ready to pen that because I did not notice one when he got
out
there.
No,
so
not at all.
He just kind of sounded like him.
Yeah, which is fine.
But I should point out in the game in Fallout 4, none of them talk like they're from Boston. They don't have yads and cads and any of that stuff.
How dare they? I know.
They don't say Worcester or any of that.
Well,
so.
They shouldn't because it's Worcester. So let's
Worcester.
Doesn't matter. So let's talk. There's a couple of different plot points to make sure we cover, which is Quintus is clearly he's gathering these folks. Who are also, they have their own different communities, and
well, they're different chapters of the Brotherhood.
Yeah, but it's interesting to me that it's like I was expecting the Brotherhood to be all like Quintus's group, and the woman who's from the chapter, the Yosemite chapter, who's like, we're not in with this religious crap or whatever. I wasn't expecting the other chapters to be so ideologically different than I thought that all the Brotherhood was the same. I didn't realize that it was going to have as much variance as it does. So that's interesting.
Were you okay with the one chapter letting them sleep with robots?
No, I'm not.
Hey, that squire was fully within his rights.
So he brings in some folks from some chapters that appear to be close by, because they're now taking up space in Area 51. So obviously they're in New Mexico. So it's interesting.
Well, actually, I believe Area 51 is in California, but
is it?
I think it's in the I think it's in the California desert. Yeah, I mean it's not. I mean New Mexico is right there, but
either way, we're away from the coast, which is where we were. I mean, obviously that's where Norm and all his peeps are, and so we know that.
Nope, I'm sorry. It was Nevada. It's 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. I just looked it up.
Oh, interesting. So that will put them really close to where Lucy and the Ghoul are heading too. So that's interesting.
And where Hank is.
Yeah. So,
but they are. I was wondering if you picked up on that you kind of see on the building, the hangar, that it says Area 51.
Yeah.
Although it actually only says ARE 51, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
so,
and then
anyway,
and if you missed it when they opened the icebox, you get the alien later.
Yeah.
So
there's an alien.
They knock you over the head with it a little bit later. But yeah, they're in this secure location. They're able to set up in a new area, and it's he brings in these people and who are the heads of these chapters. There's the Grand Canyon, it seems like.
Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and
Coronado is an area that's down by San Diego. So, so that makes sense. So that all seems very like Southern California / like desert, mountainy areas. And they are very varied. They're very different. I love how the one he's like, we don't allow women to speak in our group, and I'm like, ugh.
Well, and then he calls her, see you next Tuesday,
and she's like,
and then she pulls out her sword. She's like, say that again, and I will cut one into you.
Yeah, I'll cut one if you want one. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
She was great. Yeah. I liked her a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and I like too that they're the Yosemite group. But you can tell too from the casting of her, that she clearly has some Native American ancestry. So it's I like that they're representing that some of the original, Americans, like people who are native to the country before we ugly Europeans invaded, that there were other people here, and that it made it all the way through to now. Which would be great. I'm very curious to see, based on their representatives, I'm curious to see what the makeup is of these three groups, which I have a feeling we're going to be able to see, because they start talking about breaking away from the Commonwealth, which it seems like the Commonwealth, are they in charge of the Brotherhood, or they just are the one chapter of the Brotherhood that has the most power? I'm not. It's not clear to me.
Yeah, it's the second of the two.
They just have the most power.
That you just said. The Commonwealth is like the biggest and the most organized, and you kind of get this from Quintus when Brian Thompson plays the guy, I think from Coronado, which is the guy that says, in our chapter we don't let the women speak, and Brian Thompson is a character actor. He's in the 80s and 90s made a ton of movies. You can IMDb him. He's in a bunch of horror movies and stuff. A great, wonderful character actor. He very famously in the Terminator, when the Terminator first comes to Earth, or it comes into the past, and Arnie's walking around and he's buck naked, and he comes upon these three punks, punk rocker guys. Brian Thompson and Bill Paxton is one of them, by the way. And Brian Thompson is the guy who is, giving him crap about, hey, I think this guy's a couple of cans short of a six-pack and all that stuff. He's the main punk that the Terminator punches in and rips his heart out. Okay, that's Brian Thompson. That's that guy. So I love that dude. He's a great, wonderful character actor, and he turns up in a ton of stuff. But he points out at one point, hey, why isn't the Commonwealth here? And that's when Quintus says, if we'd invited them, what would have happened? They would have taken the artifact, which in this case is the cold fusion thingy. Yep. And he goes, and we would be left with nothing. Yeah. And so clearly the Commonwealth faction of the Brotherhood, or chapter, whatever you want to call it, is the bully, is the most powerful. So it clearly gets its first pick of all the tech they find, and kind of it. Like Quintus says, if we all team up, we can take them on and we can beat them. But if we continue to squabble amongst ourselves and be solo, they're going to be able to impose their will because they're stronger than each one of us individually. You know what I mean? Like they can take me, they could take you, they could take her. But if all of us work together, they can't, that kind of thing. But as they point out, and as Dane points out, if the Commonwealth is cut out of this thing, there's going to be a rumble. They're going to come and show up and want their share of the pie, which is all of it, right? And so that's the answer, is that the Commonwealth is like the biggest, the most powerful of the chapters of the Brotherhood, and clearly Quintus is trying to do like an end run around them and exclude them to capitalize on this tech so that he can refashion the Brotherhood however he thinks it should be. It's one of those things. So. Right.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because it's like he makes his point about, they'll take this and use it, and he's like, but I can also share it with you. And, he shows all these like, the fusion reactors that he's able to make.
The power cores, the fusion cores. Yeah. I mean, boxes and boxes. And what is the woman, she goes, how many of these can you make? And he says, more than all of living humanity could ever use, or something. I mean, some crazy amount, right? It's just like basically unlimited fusion cores, right? It's just unlimited power.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because they, in the previously on scenes, they took the time to include the moment where I forget, the Squire, when he wants his broken foot fixed, and he has the the charlatan doctor give him the thing, which turns him into a ghoul. Right. But he gives him the little fusion reactor, and his reaction is, oh, you don't see much of these anymore. And this, when I watched it the second time through, I hit on it, and I was like, why did they include that? Like, we don't see the Doctor again. We haven't seen what's his face again. And I'm like, so
his name is Thaddeus.
Thaddeus, that's right.
I looked it up. His name is Thaddeus.
I couldn't remember. And he's like, so I'm like, why'd they include? That's why they included that scene, because they wanted to make a point of reminding you that people aren't able to just get them anymore. They're few and far between, and etc. So it's the fact that they have boxes and boxes of them, and that they can just make tons more. And then it just, you take that scene and you couple it with, Dane's reaction, when Dane sees them, using the, getting started with like the little, cold fusion core, like setting it up, and they're getting started and they're making them. And the one, the other, Squire is with them, and they're like, what do you think he's going to do with all of that? And Dane's like, nothing good. It's really interesting because they made a point of also including in the previously on, they include the moment where Dane is just like so vocal and is like, "Hail to Maximus, who will be a knight," and is all very like, oh, like all fired up. And the Dane of this episode is very like, Maximus is not as he seems, and things don't seem very, uplifty right now, and da da da, so it's a big change from where Dane was in that season finale last year.
Yeah.
And it seems very, I don't know, do you think Dane is just dissatisfied in general, or do you think Dane suspects something is amiss with Maximus, or a little bit of both? What do you think?
I'm not sure, and I think Dane's whole approach to me seemed weird because last year in the season finale, Maximus is like, I'm leaving the Brotherhood. I'm going to go off with Lucy and we're going to live. There's a vault and it's safe and we can be really great. And Dane basically goes, there's no leaving here. You can't, you're in. Once you're in, you're in. And yet in this episode, she's like, why are you still here? Why don't you go find that girl?
Yeah.
And so it's like Dane has done like a complete 180 on the Brotherhood, which it seemed weird to me. It seemed unnatural because that's not how I remember Dane's character being last year. But like I said earlier, I think Dane is going to kind of become like the Jiminy Cricket for Maximus, that it's sort of the conscience, the sense of the morality, if you will, that Maximus, don't get me wrong, Maximus certainly has a sense of morality and empathy and all of those things. Lucy wouldn't have given him the smooch on the cheek if she didn't realize that he was a good person.
Right.
But I think that he is slowly kind of, being corrupted by the power that he has, the position that he has, the authority that he has now, because he's kind of like the star of this faction of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
He's, what did Quintus say? I'll be the leader and you'll be the sword, when we rebuild this, when we build our home, whatever he said in the season finale. And so I think Dane is seeing that Maximus is not the same guy that he was, and this is troubling. And so Dane is kind of trying to remind him, of, hey, remember, you were going to leave this place. You were going to go off with this girl you met, and of course Max is like, well, she left me, and doesn't Dane say, well, she's still got to be out there somewhere or something like that, and then you're right, when the meeting is going on, or like when the meeting is called, and then Dane tells Maximus that that he read the comm messages and everybody except the Commonwealth was invited, and if that's the case, there's going to be a civil war. And Maximus is like, look, every place out there is terrible, and the Brotherhood is pretty good compared to it all, and maybe we can make it better. Kind of tapping in on what his dad told him.
Yeah, exactly.
All those years ago, of like, you try and make the things you're at a little bit better, and you've done okay. But I don't know. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with that character yet. What how it's going to work.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? What did you think?
I don't know. It's hard to put a finger on it, because I think they're sort of angling Dane to be the, and again, like I don't know, is Dane gonna be the one that when Maximus decides to leave, Dane's in the way and he's gonna have to kill them to get to Lucy? Or is there a situation where Dane threatens Lucy and he has to kill Dane? Or is this like I don't know, is Dane gonna try and do something to harm the Brotherhood, and Maximus has to decide whether or not to step in, like, and prove his worthiness. I don't know. It's hard to tell, because it's hard to tell if they're painting Dane as the, are they just discontent with life in general, like nothing makes them happy, or is it that they are both, disappointed with their life themselves, but also, Maximus is sort of like, Maximus had this chance to get away and had these other things that he could have gone for, and he stayed, and I don't understand. And like, it's hard to tell what direction they're going to take Dane in, but so I don't really have a sense. I just know that the way they're headed, they're planning on Dane being a thorn in someone's side and needing to be dealt with. Because as they showed, they sort of kind of foretold, for fun, they beat the shit out of each other, like that happens in this episode. So, and these ding-dongs are just like playing with, they're playing with, what's it called? Grenades and whatever, just like, playing with grenades and what, so could there be a situation where for whatever's going to happen, I don't think Dane's going to make it. Let's put it that way. I think that feels clear to me, is that Dane's going to be sacrificed in some way, and I just don't know what the angle's going to be for that yet. So it's hard to tell, but it's kind of, I'm glad that they are bothering Maximus with some of it, because it's making Maximus think more about, maybe I don't want to stay here. Maybe I could go and try and find Lucy. Maybe, this doesn't seem like it's going to turn out very well with this, impending civil war. So maybe I should just, run away. It gets Maximus thinking a little bit, I think. He seems kind of complacent in the, the opening scene where you're like, he's bored while he's killing like the zombies and whatever. And maybe the, Dane saying something sort of opened his eyes to, I really could be doing something else. I don't have to accept life as it is. I could go do something else. So I don't know. Maybe Dane's just the catalyst. I don't know.
Yeah. I think all those things are possible. You know, I think maybe Dane's going to be a martyr.
Maybe. Well, it's certainly not going to be Maximus the martyr, because Maximus kicked some ass there.
Oh, did he?
I love how they go to do the fight, and the dude who wants to fight him is like, no, we do this. What did he call it? Did he say naked? Bareback. And I'm like,
bareback.
Gross.
It's a gross term.
It is. It's very gross, especially
Come on, baby. It's my birthday.
Well, they just pivoted from a scene where they were talking about having sex with robots. And he's like, no, bareback. And I'm like, is that the phrase to use here?
What I like is that the dude runs into him and he's like, You're the knight that killed the science woman Moldover, and he's like, Moldaver, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did. And Maximus just wants nothing to do with it, right? And he's like, I bet I could smash you. And he looks at him, and this guy's like 6'9", right? I mean, he towers over Maximus, and Maximus looks at him and goes, probably, and he turns to leave, and then the guy like won't let him go, and is like, we're gonna fight, it's like. Okay, and I really thought Maximus was surprised. I don't think he went into it thinking it was a fight to the death. I think he just thought it was going to be like a sparring round, and that guy was just like dead serious on wasting him. And then the next thing, he doesn't even let Maximus take his coat off, and he starts punching it. You know what I mean? It's like that guy was cheating from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I liked the whole scene no matter what. It was, it's interesting how that guy was just like, he was praising him, but then he's like, yeah, I think I could beat you up. Like, isn't that weird? Like, how does that stuff happen? Like, do dudes really do that? Please tell me.
Well, you have to understand that this is, well, to answer your question, yes, because boys are dum-dums, okay? But, in this situation, these guys are clearly, that this is a military kind of a thing. They're warriors, and they're out, trying, it's very masculine, they're out, us against the world, and it takes every all your wits and your strength to survive out there, and so on. So I get the sort of like, I want to compare myself to the other knights. Where do I measure up? How do you compare yourself to other golfers? By height? No, it's not it. You have to, actually it's going to be a test of strength. So it makes sense to a point, but unfortunately in the really real world, it's stuff. It still happens. What did Kate in Lost very famously say when Sawyer and Jack were having an argument, when she said, "Do you want me to get out the ruler?" Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately that's all true. That was certainly an extreme version of it, sure. But yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So they get into the fight, and then the guy pulls out the knife, right? And I just, I kept waiting for someone to be like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Why kill one of your own guys?
And why is Quintus just sitting there, like, looking on, like, yes, this is how it should be, my son. You should get your ass kicked by this. Like, right. What was the
mountain of a man?
No, it was such a strange. First of all, how the fight started, like, oh, you killed that woman, that's great. I think I could beat you up. Let's do this. And then just the reaction of, everybody's shouting all around him and jumping up and down. And then, Quintus is like just not reacting whatsoever. It was so bizarre. Like he, obviously as the leader, he's got to maintain some decorum. But even when it was over, he didn't even just golf clap it or all hail Maximus or anything like that. It was very like, yeah, you made it. That's fine. It's okay. And then it's like,
well, I guess you're alive.
Yeah, kind of alive. And they're in the midst of this big tumultuous, all the other squires are going bonkers. And then out of nowhere, a vertibird comes flying in, and they're like, "Oh, who is this arriving now?" And blah blah blah, and it's Kumail Nanjiani, and he's just there for another stand-up date because they're so close to Vegas that he's just gonna it's another stop on his stand-up tour. I kid. He introduces himself. He's from the Commonwealth, and Paladin Xander Harkness.
Yep.
That's a mouthful right there.
That is a mouthful, yeah. And the Brotherhood does have paladins. They are like very, very high up knights. You have to be like a regular knight for a while and do so many brave things, to be elevated. But there is a way to become one. And again, this is just knowledge from the Fallout video game series, where you run into the Brotherhood periodically. And there are. So yeah, and he, like I said, he's basically come all the way from your old stomping grounds to the West Coast here for this meeting. Somehow he's found out about it. We don't know how. And he's sort of like, so I guess we're talking about a civil war, huh?
Was I invited? Yeah. That's...
And what does Quintus go like when he goes, I'm from the Commonwealth and I guess I wasn't invited, and he goes, and yet you are here.
And that's like, boom, that's the end of the episode. And I have to say, I'm really looking forward to it, because let me tell you, Kumail is really great. He's a funny guy. He's a great actor. I'm really glad. He's been talking a lot lately too about, he was in the cast of the Eternals, and he talked a lot about how there was so much sort of going into that. It's the Marvel universe, and he's, I'm in this big, Marvel universe thing, and when they sign you on, you sign for like 3 movies or something like that, and it was a flop, and it was by a lot of people considered like one of the worst Marvel movies of like however many years, and he had to really sort of like bounce back from that. He had a really hard go of it, and it's just nice to see him sort of back out there doing some more acting, and that something with a really big fan base, like nerdy fan base, embracing him again. It just feels really nice, almost kind of cures some of the ill, maybe gets rid of some of the bad taste in his mouth or whatever, because he's great, and I love his he's very sarcastic, and he's got such a great sensibility, so I'm really looking forward to the energy that I think having him as a part of the cast is going to bring. So very cool, very cool. What did you think of the introduction of the Paladin?
Well, I'd been spoiled a little. I knew he was going to be in the show in some capacity. I don't know. And this is months ago. I saw something that he was. They announced he was added to the cast, and once I saw that, I went, nope, I'm not reading anymore. I didn't click on anything. I didn't want to know, But I knew enough that he was going to pop up. Again, I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see, how much of the bully aspect of the Commonwealth are we going to get here? Is he going to just kind of walk around like, he owns the place now and that everyone should bow to him, or is he going to be, hey, I don't really like the Commonwealth. I want to join you guys. I mean, again, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So this is all new storytelling for me, other than the fact that he comes from the Commonwealth, which is a place that was already established in the universe, but we're not there. So I don't know. I mean, I like you said, I love him. I think he's great. I've seen some of his stand-up specials. They're very funny. Yeah. He's a very funny comedian. Many moons ago, he was on a show called Franklin and Bash, which was a lawyer show, with Breckin Meyer and I'm blanking on that, Paul Mark Gosler, the Saved by the Bell guy.
Zach Morris,
and that guy, and Malcolm McDowell was in it, and Franklin and Bash were these kind of crazy lawyers at this law firm, and they always got into these crazy cases, and Kumail played this he was like a internet detective guy that he was afraid to leave his house. He had one of those phobias of the outside. And so they would always contact him over Zoom, and he would have to like hack people's accounts and find out. And, it's like when they needed something, it's like, you can do that. And he's like, of course I can. And then, he would get the information. And he was very funny on that show too. I just remember Franklin and Bash. It was like a USA Network show from about 10 years ago. It was silly and amusing, but I've always liked him. I always thought he's good. So anytime you can add people like that to the cast, I think it's gonna make it better. So I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with him. It just, we got so little of him. It's kind of hard to get a pulse or a feel of what he's gonna do. Right? I mean, he was kind of funny in this, but does that mean he's going to be funny, or was that just like, the funny bit and now he's going to be dead serious? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see.
I'm also curious too now, because again, I don't have any basis of knowledge of the games, so I literally was today years old when I found out that the Commonwealth meant that there's a whole section of the game that takes place in Massachusetts and in Boston specifically. So do you think that by them introducing someone from the Commonwealth, do you think that we'll see maybe a future season shift to the East Coast? and feature the Commonwealth, or do you think we'll just stay where we are and they'll have Commonwealth members come out this way? What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I think they're gonna not go east.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly not this season. I mean, I think if the show continues after this season, if there's a season 3 and beyond, maybe they would. But I think that the danger of going to places that the game have explored is you have to include all the stuff that's in the game.
True.
You know, to please the gamer crowd, right? And they're already kind of exploring that. They're dipping their toe in that this season with going to New Vegas, because New Vegas has been part of a game. You know, it was a game. So there's going to be a huge group of people that are going to scrutinize everything they do in New Vegas. You know, where it's going to be, wow, they got that just right. Man, did they screw that up? You know, and I mean, they're already getting that just with all of the Fallout stuff, the tech, the look, all of it. And it's, you know, the game people are like, well, that's not how it is in the game. Or, oh my God, they got that just right. You know, and for the most part, they've got it all just right. They've been doing really well with the little details. But whenever you take it that extra step of, and now we're going to go to a place where, you know, so many. Fallout 4 was a huge video game. It was the most successful one they'd ever done. You know, it made the software studio millions and millions of dollars. You know, I mean, it was a huge, huge hit. So there's a huge fan base of people that are still playing Fallout 4 to this day, even though it's like 8 years old, right? Because they haven't come out with a new one yet, and people will just start it over and play it over and over and over again. So they know, you know, there's a huge group of fans that know everything about the Commonwealth because they've been playing that game for about a decade now.
Right.
And so I think that the showrunners are going to probably say, let's not go there.
Mm-hmm.
What was the line from the Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Let's not go to Camelot. It is a silly place. I think they're going to kind of follow that sentiment of, you know what? We have huge portions of the United States that there's never been a Fallout video game in. Let's do that.
Okay, I can see that.
You know, so, but again, never say never,
True.
right? Maybe if New Vegas, if this season goes really well and they feel like, yeah, we can hack that, maybe they would. I don't know. I don't, you know, again, I'm not sure how much, you know, do they have any allegiance to the video game other than it's the world that they're telling their story in, you know? So we'll really have to see. I would be fun. I would love to see, you know, Fenway Park as the settlement, you know, where they have the green monster protecting them and all that. You know, that it would be really an interesting thing. And there's a bunch of other places. There's Nuka World, which is over on the East Coast, which was an expansion to the Fallout 4, which is like this massive Nuka-Cola amusement park that you go and it's, you know, there are raiders and horrible people there and you got to fight them all. Mm-hmm. And there's Cold Harbor. That was another expansion that they did. So there's a lot of stuff they could pull in and incorporate in places they could go. I just think they're going to stay out west for the time being and just kind of tell the stories they want to tell and kind of not be tied down with pre-established stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. So kind of made it to the end of the episode. So is there anything that we didn't discuss from episode 2 that you want to make sure that we hit upon before we take our break?
I don't think so. Yeah. I think, you know, again, we kind of jumped out of sequence a little because we did the Hank stuff first, but I think we touched upon everything. So, you know, we're I think we're good.
I agree, people. We did it. So you know what that means. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss some of the listener feedback we received, and we'll talk about what's coming up next on the podcast.
All right, so everyone, please stick around, because we'll be right back.
Now there's about 20 of them out there.
What will we do?
Don't worry, we're safe in here. They'll never get in.
Why is it that in every zombie story, people always think that their safe haven is invulnerable?
I know. It's like, hello, the walkers are totally gonna get in. You better get ready for it.
No! Diane, get behind me. No, it's not stopping.
Do something, Jack!
And another thing, how come nobody in a zombie story has ever seen a zombie story?
Do you know how much time in human life would be saved if just one person in the group was up on the genre?
What do we do?
Aim for the head.
What?
Aim for the head.
You heard them. Aim for the head.
Quick, Diane, I think we should try and fix the barricades.
I think we should listen to them.
Now, that's the first good idea they've had all episode.
I still don't think they're gonna make it.
Aim for the Head, a horror apocalypse entertainment podcast. Join hosts Diana and Steve as they recap and discuss the best of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and apocalyptic entertainment. Aim for the Head, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky.
Hey there, this is Greg Nicotero, and you're listening to Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And don't forget to always aim for the head, because body shots, they really just don't work.
Hey everybody, we are back. Normally we jump right into our feedback, but just before we started, started coming back from our break, Steve said he wanted to mention one more thing about the episode. So Steve, why don't you go ahead and take that away before we get into the feedback area.
Yeah, and I know we kind of like barely touched on it, but the resolution of the Lucy storyline, you know, she and the girl leave the hospital, they leave the ghoul, you know, there to kind of suffer.
Yes.
And as they're walking, you know, trying to get her back, this girl back to her people, they come upon this, like, all of these guys up on the mountaintop, and they're all got torches, and they're all, from a distance, they kind of look like they're all dressed like Roman soldiers.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little odd. And so then, and we kind of touched on this because then that girl like disappears and is just gone, and Lucy's like, hello, you know, what happened? And then she kind of keeps going down the path, and eventually she comes up to like a little like wooden house, and then all of these Roman guys show up, and they got her surrounded, and she has this great line, like, by saying, I just want to start by saying I'm a nice person, which was very funny.
Agreed.
But again, we see them up close, and they're all dressed like Romans, and it was just kind of a weird, you know, choice. It's like, why would you guys want to dress up like Roman centurions and stuff? But when the episode ends, at the very end, and we go to the credits, they always have a little bit of animation, usually of like the world.
Yes.
Right, and they're kind of zooming around. It's almost like an animated like drone shot of whatever it is, you know. And in this particular episode, they start in a costume shop, and there are several like mannequin of people, and they're wearing Roman costumes.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And then if you look in the very back of the store, on the wall is a poster for a movie that Cooper Howard's the star of, and it's called The Revenge of Brutus, and he's decked out in Roman centurion stuff.
I love it.
And so yeah, and I just thought that was really, I'm like, well, it can't be a coincidence.
No.
You know, and when they pull out of the store, the outside of the store, the window's got like a sign that says "Dress like your favorite movie stars," and so again, I don't know what that means or how it's going to relate to what's going on with Lucy, but it's got to mean something, right? It's got to be. And so maybe like these guys are like huge fans of that movie, and then if the ghoul shows up to save her, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's the guy from the movie, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was interesting and weird and different and worth mentioning. And if you didn't see it, it's worth a second look, and just go to the end of the episode. And like I said, as soon as it smashes to black, you get this little bit of them, and they're in this costume shop, and it's all right there for you. So, yeah. And if anyone has any theories, please let me know, because I'm not sure what to make of it. I just thought it was weird.
I think it's interesting they included the costume shop thing, because that helps explain some of the crazy outfits that you see here and there because, you know, when people are scrounging for, you know, we know post-apocalyptic people are scrounging for supplies. There's going to be warehouses in, you know, California, in the Los Angeles area, in the Hollywood area that are filled with costumes, you know,
you would think, right?
Yeah. So, you know, it's very interesting that they would, that they would choose the Roman soldier ones, maybe. All right.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah. Anyway.
That's a good point. So yeah, let us know what you thought of that, folks. Speaking of letting us know about stuff,
a transition.
I would like to formally apologize because we talked last week about how we were so surprised that we didn't get any feedback. And may I just say that I'm saying here in this public location that I was wrong. We did receive feedback. Wrong. And we not only did we receive feedback, but we received feedback from our most, you know, consistent feedback giver, which is our pal Erica Price. The mistake was, obviously, all on my part. She would normally send feedback through Facebook, but because of the holidays and people not being able to probably watch Fallout right away, she was worried about spoilers, and she emailed her feedback, and I totally missed the email because I am a terrible person. So, I have it for us right now. So here is Erica's feedback from last week's episode. Yay! So from the season 2 premiere, Erica said this. Okay, so in the recap, they show the guy standing in front of everybody in Vault 33, telling them they only have 2 months of worth of water left. This is a big unanswered question from season 1. I'm hoping it comes up again. They would not have included it in this recap if it wasn't, right? Cool. Cool new suit guy. I hope we see more of him and his, quote, market research. She's clearly talking about the house character. And then she says, Fallout starting strong with the gore. Yay! And then Ghoul in the Gallows. Slinging insults is my jam. And then finally, the water chip. And apparently Betty is aware Norm's stuck in 31. Bad Betty. I agree. Betty knows about it.
Yeah.
Could her hair be any poofier? She's probably trying to show that they don't have a lot of water, so she's probably not able to wash her hair, and it's frizzy. I'm just saying. I have no idea.
Think that, yeah.
Her hair's getting poofy.
No, I think that's a really good conclusion.
It's a possibility. She continues on and says, flea soup. Oh, dear. As someone who has been in the pet industry 35 years, I have seen way too many dogs and cats make flea soup in the tub. My skin is crawling watching Lucy bring that bowl up to her lips. Ew. You're not alone. The fact that she went so far, that she took the bowl and brought it all the way up to her face is...
She supposedly tasted the soup. She was that much respectful for that woman.
That just goes to show what a nice person Lucy is. And how that's really going to bite her in the ass at some point. I mean, ugh.
It already has multiple times.
Yeah, so continuing on, she says, dude's still got his name on the marquee. Nice. Obviously Coop, that's, he was at the drive-in. Hank's trap.
At the drive-in, yeah.
Hank's trap isn't going to sway Lucy. She's on a mission. So is Hank sending a message to Robert House? I love this episode, so much happened. Now we need to catch up with Maximus and Thaddeus. Agreed. I can't wait to see what happens when all of the Vault 31 buds come back to life in chaos. I wonder if Barb and Janie are there. Okie dokie, Erica Price.
Okie dokie.
Great thoughts, Erica. Seems like you were on the same wavelength as us for a lot of these thoughts. And I hope we get some information on Thaddeus soon. Because didn't you say the actor who plays him shows, like they said that he appears this season or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He at the end of season 1 when they did the like coming this season kind of a kind of a look at all the episodes, which as we said last week we both hate. Yes. there's a scene where they show him, and he's kind of like almost like Reg. He's like leading like a support group of people, and I'm guessing they're like people that are like going to become ghouls like him, that are just like starting the transition or something.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, but yeah, Johnny Pemberton's the actor, and the character is Thaddeus, and so he will be showing up at some point. We just don't know. Hopefully next week, but we don't know. We don't know when.
Yeah, agreed. And I agree. I'm curious to see where Thaddeus has gone and what's new in Thaddeus's life other than the ability to not die. Because we already knew about that.
Well, he's an abomination now.
He is.
So there's that.
He is. So there's that. Great to hear from you, Erica. It's short-lived because Erica, I totally get it. Holidays and commitments and days off and vacation and traveling and what have you. She's not able to even watch the episode until like tomorrow or something. So we don't have any feedback for episode 2, but Erica, when you listen to this, I'm going to tell you that next week when you watch episode 3, just send us feedback for episode 2 and episode 3, and we'll chat about it in next week's episode. And folks, if you are getting back from all your holiday stuff and you have some thoughts on episode 1 or 2, or you binge all those first 2 to 3 episodes once you get back from visiting your family, let us know what you thought. As we have clearly exhibited here, we will read your feedback next week. It's totally fine. So we're just curious if everybody else is watching week to week like we are. So send in your thoughts. Let us know what you think. We would love to include them. Plus, maybe you've got a question about something from episode 1 or 2, and it would spark new conversation, even if it's been 2 weeks since we talked about it. So yeah, send those thoughts in, folks. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So coming up next on the podcast, we're going to obviously be talking about episode 3. And I know I said earlier in the podcast that they're not even releasing names, but while we were recording, I was looking something else up. I think I was looking up the actor, the guy that played the Coronado leader. What did you say? Billy Thompson is his name?
Brian
Thompson, sorry. And I looked him up because I wanted to see, you said the thing about the Terminator. I want to see the other things he's been in. And when I brought up Fallout and went to go click on this episode, it does have a title for next week. I'm very excited. So title of next week's episode, we'll be covering episode 3. Title is The Profligate. And based on the fact that that's what she called Lucy, I'm thinking that we're going to get some Lucy time next week. And I hope so, because she was left with those Roman soldiers, and it didn't look like they had her, her best, they had their best, intentions in mind there.
I hope those are not the wrong people to rape her.
Yes. I don't want the right people to rape her either. So either way, I just hope she's able to hold her own, and maybe someone will come and help her out in some way. We'll have to see what happens there. So that's next week on the podcast. Obviously, between last week's recording and this week's recording, we did have the release on Christmas Day of the next chunk of Stranger Things episodes. I have been through them only once so far, but I really enjoyed them. So far, so good, and I'm very, very much so looking forward to the finale, which will release on, is it New Year's Eve or New Year's Day? New Year's Eve, right?
I think it's New Year's Eve.
Okay.
Because I think it's in the theaters in New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, New Year's Eve. So that'd be 2 days from today. So I'm very excited for that. I'm hoping maybe I'll have time to watch a little bit of at least episode 7 before we move on to the finale episode. Did you get a chance to watch the block that released on Christmas Day just yet?
I did not.
Okay.
No. I, unlike you, I'm not hardwired to consume Stranger Things at the soonest possible opportunity. So I have not.
I honestly, I'd be okay with waiting a little bit. I just don't want to be spoiled, is my fear, because there's going to be so much press about the finale and everything, and there's when the first chunk released, they did okay. Like, I had already watched them, so it's not like it spoiled anything, but I didn't notice many spoilery things, but this time around I have noticed a lot of spoilery things, especially a couple of storylines in particular. But yeah, I'm just trying to avoid the spoilers. That's all. So there's that. But I'm also I have until New Year's Eve, because that's when it'll leave Netflix. I'm really, really trying to make it through another rewatch of Lost, because it's gonna leave Netflix on December 31st. So I'm about almost done with the third season. So I don't know. I might be able to make it, but I'm just, chipping away. I'm trying to make it as far as I can, see as many episodes as I can. If I start to get to the point where I don't think I'm going to make it, I'll just fast forward and watch the finale. So, and rewatch that. So,
okay.
So that's that. Anything else we should chat about before we wrap up this week's episode?
Just instead of watching Stranger Things, I watched One Battle After Another, which is Paul Thomas Anderson's movie with Leo.
Yes.
And it is really good. It's very long. It's almost 3 hours long, so it's a bit of a commitment. I know a lot of people are saying it's a drama. It is not. It is a comedy.
Yeah.
It is a very black, dark comedy, and there are some very funny parts in it. And Sean Penn is he's incredible. I would be very surprised if he doesn't receive an Oscar nomination for this performance, because he is something else. And his character's name is Steve. So there you go. Huh.
I think they've all gotten Golden Globes nominations so far. So it looks good for them.
I believe so. Yeah, it is, and it's a wonderful movie. I can't even begin to tell you what it's about. You just got to watch it. It's about a revolutionary and what happens, and anyway, it's wonderful. It's really good. And then I also watched the latest Knives Out movie, which is Wake Up, Dead Man. And that's, again, I like the first two. I think this movie is great. It's really good. I think the first one is still the best one of these three. Okay. And the first one is the one with Chris Evans and Jamie Lee Curtis and Christopher Plummer and all those folks. Although I think the mystery in this latest one is the best mystery that they've done. In terms, so it starts out and it's kind of one of those locked room murders, where the victim is found in a place where there's, how did they get killed and how did the murderer do it and not be seen and get out and all that kind of stuff. Yep. And so I really like that aspect of it. But again, I think overall, if I were to rank them, I think the first one is still probably the best, but this one is number two, and then the second one would be third. So that one is on Netflix. Yep. If you have Netflix, you can watch Knives Out, and the One Battle After Another is currently on HBO Max, so you can watch that there if you can. And I highly recommend that you guys do, because they were both really good movies. Then the other thing is I did a little poking around, and for the Days of the Dead convention in March here in Chicago, which is their spring show, they already have, I want to say, 6 cast members from Aliens confirmed to be there. So we're going to have Hicks. We're going to have Newt is coming. We're going to have Gorman, Vasquez, Dietrich, Farrow, and Frosty and Frost. So that's it. I think that's the group so far, and maybe Mark Ralston will get added as well. And so we'll have to see. But anyway, huge Aliens cast reunion is coming, and I know Aliens is one of your jams.
Yes.
So it's going to be a fun show, and that's coming up in March. So, I mean, for myself personally, that just means I have to, hurry up and grow another kidney so I can sell it, so I will have autograph money. So,
so good luck on growing the kidney. I wish you all the best in that endeavor.
You get. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so I think that's gonna do it for us for this week, folks. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for you. We look forward to chatting with you next week for episode 3 of Fallout's second season. And until then, as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
Don't forget to always aim for the head.
Because body shots, yeah, they just don't work.
To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTH Podcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed.
Anything we need to chat about before we get started?
I don't think so. You talk about how awesome I am, I suppose. If we could go over that for a few minutes.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? What was...